We offer two different services for our public. We offer weight loss, which includes medical weight loss and a very special laser, which helps destroy fat. And the other service we offer is actually what's called functional medicine, and that is where my background in training allows us to reverse diabetes and also hypothyroid conditions.
What is your position in the company? Are you the owner or the CEO or both?
I'm the owner, and I'm also a doctor that actually practices to help patients either lessen their need of medication or reverse their diabetes. So I do actually multiple functions.
Yeah, how much time do you spend working at the company?
Well, it depends. I wear many different hats and responsibilities. It's almost split 50-50 between administration and also patient care. Depending upon our load and how many patients are coming in, we have a very busy practice. So sometimes I have to adjust that accordingly. But we do spend a lot of time making sure everybody gets good quality care and they see that they get great results.
So while running a company, what actions take up the majority of your time?
Oh, that's such a great question. So, to run a company, especially since there's multiple services, a lot has to do with training, making sure there is really good what's called control for the people that are in the organization. So, for instance, making sure that the staff are doing what they need to do, making sure that things are run smoothly. Also, quality control. We want to make sure that people, in respects their quality control, that patients are getting the right services, they're getting the things they need, the things that we want to make sure that they get a high quality. So a lot of it's also just making sure that there's nothing that slips, making sure that all the processes are put together correctly. So that comes down back to administration. So a lot of it has to do with control and making sure that everything is in a very good quality and making sure that everybody is aligned and working together.
As a business owner, what do you think is the biggest challenge while running a business?
I think the biggest challenge is just getting everything coordinated together. Obviously, there are many people that come through our doors to get help in respects to diabetes or weight loss or hypothyroidism. But it's making sure that everybody's aligned with the same purpose and the same mission. We want to all have a guide that we are there for the people. We want to make sure that everybody puts the patient as their number one priority. And sometimes it's tough because things show up in life. There are challenges that show up in life. There are personal things that sometimes get in the way for our staff, and that's really probably the biggest challenge: keeping everybody really motivated to helping people, because that's our number one priority. So if that's in place, mostly everything else falls in place.
So how do you keep your staff motivated and following the company's purpose?
Good question. Number one is showing them that what they're doing is actually benefiting our goals and purposes of helping people. So we do a lot of testimonials, and our patients love when they meet somebody. They come in on day one, they're suffering, they can't lose weight, or they can't reverse their diabetes or taking a lot of medication. And then after a short period of time, seeing that this person's completely getting better, seeing that they're losing weight, and seeing those successes really, I think, helps our staff really stay motivated, because they know that next phone call they make or the next person they're on the phone with or they're sending mail to could actually be someone they're going to change their life. We actually had a meeting this week, and the question I asked everybody is, I said, what do you guys do? And I asked each of my staff, I said, what do you do? And it was interesting because they all answered, well, I answer the phones, or I help patients out with services, or I help make the events that we run very smooth. And the interesting part is that's not exactly what they do. What they do is they change people's lives, and that's really the big piece that they need to align to. And upon them aligning to that, and all of us coming together, that's really the biggest motivation that we see for most of our staff. We also play games, where we're trying to achieve something in respects to the office for that particular month, maybe help a certain number of people, or make a bigger difference in our community. So we also play games like that. So there's other perks. Sometimes we buy lunch or something of that nature.
Yeah.
So fun things to keep it interesting and obviously not boring.
Right, of course. What duties as a business owner do you think you take on in the company?
All of them. I take on obviously the financial duties. I take on the hiring process to make sure we're hiring the right people, the training process. I like having control of those particular areas. I've passed those hats to other people at some point, but I always found out that they didn't necessarily have that same standard I have. So I like actually holding those particular positions, especially training, making sure staff really know what they're doing, making sure we're getting the right staff to help our community. And then making sure that there's no irregularities in terms of how we practice our craft, as well as how the business is run on a day-to-day basis. I've seen sometimes where there's wasted money on things that don't need to necessarily be wasted.
Right.
I also see that there's money that needs to go into other services that could really help our patients. So it's really having a nice balance and control of that.
Which one of these do you believe is the most important? I know you kind of explained it in terms of the duties that you take on, but maybe if you could talk a little bit more about that. Which one do you think is the most important for you to keep and follow through on?
I would say it still comes back down to quality control.
Right.
I think quality control for us, making sure all of our systems are in place would be good. We don't take on the easiest cases. We take on people who have been struggling with weight for a very long time. They've gone to 100 places and nothing's worked. They're very frustrated. So our processes really are very thorough, and they really get a great result for our patients. Same thing with diabetics. These are people who are extremely sick. They're taking a ton of medication. They can't lose weight. They have no energy. They need extra special care, and the current model is just too quick and too easy, where it's actually not getting the results that these people really need and they deserve. So it goes back to quality control for us, and really having that as the most important step, because if quality control is in and we're giving the great quality and making sure that all of our systems are in place, because our systems are set up for success.
Right.
So if they're in place, then we see that everything goes real smooth.
What advice do you have for other business owners, your colleagues, your peers, in running their own business?
Good question. Number one is definitely work with either consultants or other successful business owners that have been through the trenches and kind of know what's going on. The other thing is always continue to train yourself and always work on self-improvement. It's a pretty wild world out there, and especially when you run a business, that you always want to stay around people who are positive. You also want to always learn what's new and available to helping small businesses as well as big businesses. So I always work on training, something personal to me, making sure I spread that down to my staff. So we're always working on all the positive things. And any issues that you do get, don't let them escalate. So that's another thing. Sometimes we've had it where there's a problem that comes up and we just don't handle it right then and there when it's a small problem, and it becomes bigger and bigger. And it could be the silliest thing, is just where do you file papers, and then all of a sudden no one knows and that policy is never set, and all of a sudden now you have a huge stack of papers and it becomes an emergency. So those are probably the two biggest things. And then the last one that I would recommend, and not because I'm in healthcare, but also because I've seen this being the best. When I take care of myself, I notice I'm a better executive and better doctor and also a better business owner. So what does that mean? That means take care of yourself. Eat good, sleep well, make sure you're taking the right nutrients and vitamins. Don't burn the candle at both ends. This is something that's going to be a long journey for most people who go into business. And you want to be at the end of it when you work all these years and have some fruits that you can enjoy. So it's not only money, it's also the quality of life and health. So really do things that are going to make yourself better, and make sure, I think the number one game to winning in business is energy. The more energy you have and the more you could get things done by being well, I think the more successful you'll be, hands down.